and Declan pulled a key out of his pocket, unlocked the heavy metal door, and motioned for her to get inside. It took a minute for her eyes to adjust to the darkness. Declan touched the small of her back in that way guys did. It meant nothing, she knew, but it warmed her immediately. "There was more to it than some guy," she said, trying not to sound defensive. They walked past bathrooms and 2 rooms that read employees only. "Right. Mark said you were doing marketing or something," he added. The mention of her brother notched up her guilt, but it slipped away when they stepped out of the hallway. To her right was a gorgeous, long wood-paneled bar that shone like the sun on ice. Sophia stilled, her breath trapped in her lungs. Could a pub be beautiful? She turned her head to see the black-padded leather booths, the dark wood tables in a mix of rectangles, squares, and circles. The tables had high-backed chairs, and the benches sported plush black cushions. A brick facade behind the bar gave the pub a unique charm, and the far end of the pub had a small stage and what was likely a dance floor. It smelled like polish and something sweet. To the left, a rectangular pass peeked into the kitchen, a swinging door beside it. She wondered how many wait and kitchen staff he had. Enough to need a manager and someone to offset his workload, according to her brother. "You going to say anything?" When Sophia turned to face him, she wasn't positive, but she thought she caught a hint of uncertainty in his tone. "Declan, this is incredible. Marcus said you'd opened up a neighborhood pub, but this," she said, gesturing with her hand and ungluing her feet from the spot where she still stood. "This is beautiful. It's elegant but homey, friendly and welcoming." She already had a dozen ideas swimming in her marketing brain. One step at a time. Most days, Sophia didn't feel like she belonged anywhere. But when it came to promotions and marketing, her confidence soared. Shoving his hands back in his pockets, he tipped his head and gave her a smile that made her forget, for 1 second, that she was off men. "Mark said you traveled a lot and tended to like the big cities, so I'll take it as a compliment that you think my place is nice." She grinned and shook off the haze of unwanted attraction. It was nothing. She was only human, and Declan James was enough to test the restraint of a monk. "More than nice. It's gorgeous." They stared at each other a moment, and she was transported back in time to when she'd wanted to be one of the girls Declan James helped onto the back of his bike. She'd wanted to ride off and never come back, because she was sure that was the only way she'd feel free. She hadn't ever gotten on the back of his bike, but she had escaped, and sadly, it hadn't ever felt the way she'd hoped it would. "What are you doing, Sophia? Does your family know you're here? Marcus didn't say anything to me." He moved behind the bar and started what she assumed was prep work for opening. "Stop stalling." "They don't know." He froze, hand in midair. "Your dad doesn't strike me as the type who likes surprises. And I know they were pretty sad you didn't make it home for Christmas again this year." He resumed his task, grabbing lemons and limes and setting them on a cutting board on the counter below the bar top. Her heart muscles tightened painfully with his words. She knew she hurt them, repeatedly, but having others know sucked. "It's not always easy to get away for the holidays," she said lamely, boosting herself up onto one of the stools. Especially when she'd spent most of her holidays preparing to come home. Disappointment had dripped heavily during conversations with both of her parents over the holidays. She wanted to tell them she was coming home for good soon enough, but a small piece of her had feared they'd gloat over being right. He glanced up through thick lashes and arched his brows. He knew she was full of it. "I didn't want to come back before I made a name for myself."